Hello viewers, in this video I'll be preparing the income statement and statement of financial position of LUCO Limited. The only difference is it has got a suspense account, and I'll show you how to deal with the suspense account. Actually, the suspense account is, if a suspense account is included in the trial balance, that means there is an error in the trial balance. Well, the trial balance is not matching, and the error is somewhere in one of the journal ledgers. So we need to rectify that error before we prepare income statement and statement of financial position. So this trial balance has been prepared, and we are given some notes. For example, one note is over here, G, and the other note is C, in which I will be dealing with the suspense account, and at the same time I'll be preparing the income statement. Right, starting from the top of the trial balance, as you can see in this, I have already prepared the format of income statement and statement of financial position. Starting from capital 1000, so let's record it. Next is retained earnings 1377. I'm going to open a bracket and I'll write 1377 because there will be profit for the year, and if there is any dividend payment out of this, that needs to be subtracted. Motor vehicle 1740, and the accumulated depreciation is 435. Less accumulated depreciation, and that is 435. I'm going to open the bracket because I will be calculating the depreciation for this year. Next is the vehicle. Value of vehicle is 830, and the accumulated depreciation is 166. Next is intangible assets 510. This is an opening balance of intangible asset. Remember that this question is in this trial balance is for 31st of December 2007. So accumulated inventory for 1st of January will be opening inventory, and that is 510. Trade receivables 852. 852 receivables. Next, I have cash 767. There is a revenue of 15,542. And then there is purchases figure of 9747. Then administrative salaries of 1634. Distribution cost is 552. Right, administration cost, expenses, and then I'll write distribution expenses. 552. I'm going to open the bracket and I'll write 552 in case there are some more expenses that needs to be included in the distribution expenses. Administrative expenses are 1135. Trade payables 700. Dividend paid will be 1200. That dividend paid will be subtracted from the retained earnings. Next, we have a suspense account of 253. So I'm going to show you some workings where I will be dealing with the suspense account. Working number 1, suspense. So I'll open a T account, and as you can see that the suspense balance is appearing on the debit side of the trial balance. So we will write 253 on the debit side, and I'll write brought down balance as an opening balance. Let's deal with the first note. Over here, note number 1 says motor vehicle is to be depreciated over 4 years using straight line method, and the depreciation should be charged to the distribution cost. Fixture and fitting using straight line method over 5 years, and it should be charged to administration expenses. Therefore, I need to work out the depreciation. Working number 2. Motor vehicle. That is 1740 divided by 4, and that is 435. That needs to be charged to distribution. So 435. So remember the double entry for depreciation, it's depreciation expense debit, and accumulated depreciation is credit. So 435 will be included in the accumulated depreciation, as well as it will be included in the distribution expense 435. Next is fixture and fittings. Value of fixture and fitting is 830 divided by 5. That gives me 166. That is the administration expense that will be charged to or added into administration expenses. So the double entry will be depreciation expense debit, and accumulated depreciation is credit. So let's record it in accumulated depreciation first, and then add that into administration expense. Note number B. Well, note B says irrecoverable debt of 37 are to be written off. The irrecoverable debt expense is to be recorded in the administration expenses. So the double entry for irrecoverable debt is irrecoverable debt expense debit, and receivables are credit. Means it needs to be recorded in the administration expenses as 37, and it needs to be subtracted from the receivables. Next information C, it says 180 paid to credit supplier was correctly entered into the cash book, but the bookkeeper was unsure what it related to, so recorded it into the suspense account. So what he did is he recorded into the suspense account, so suspense account debit and cash account is credit by 180. what he should have done was payables debit and cash credit. Therefore, we need to now subtract it from the suppliers. So C, the double entry should be, the correct double entry should be payables debit by 180 and suspense account should be credit by 180. So let's credit this account, payables, and let's go to payables and reduce the payables balance. Remember, payables is a liability, and usually liability has a credit balance. But when we pay off the liability goes down, it reduces, and when the liability is reduced, it is always debited. So this payables balance, which is appearing in the current liability as 700, is a liability. We need to reduce it by 180. So what I can do is I can write 700 in the bracket minus 180. $520. Next note number D. It says that the tax is £404 for the current year. So we will be recording it over here as a tax 404. And remember, tax is paid next year, therefore it needs to be recorded as a liability. Next note is inventory closing balance is 647. So let's record 647, and that needs to be recorded as a current asset. Next is 180 was paid for electricity in August 2007, which covers 12 months. To 30th of June 2008, the full amount was recorded as an administrative expense. So notice that 180 is paid from in August it was paid, and that was paid for the full year, 12 months. Our year end is 31st of December. So you can see that it is paid for the period of 1st of July. So let me show you over here. 1st of July 2007 until 30th of June 2008. Now, how did I work that out? It is paid until 30th of June 2008, and it is for 12 months. So if I go back 12 months, the starting date will be 1st of July 2007. Now, the year end in this question is somewhere in the middle, which is 31st of December. That means this is an expense that we have consumed, but this is prepaid expense. Prepaid expense for 6 months. July, August, September, October, November, December 2007, 6 months have passed. So the whole amount of 180 cannot be recorded as an expense. So we need to subtract half of it. So what is half of it? 180 divided by 12 months multiplied by 6 months is equals to 90 prepaid. And that is a prepaid of 90. I'm going to record it here. So this 180 has been recorded in administration expense, therefore we need to subtract 90 out of it, and the remaining, and the other effect will be to record 90 as a prepaid expense, because the double entry will be prepaid expense debit and administration expenses credit, because we are subtracting £90 out of administration expenses. Next, G, it says on review of the expectation report, exception report, sorry, the bookkeeper also identified a payment to a credit supplier of £73 to an invoice of 80. So that means we bought goods in the past worth £80. So we received an invoice of £80, but we paid £73. Why did we pay £73? The business normally does not take an early discount. So the bookkeeper was not sure what to do with that, because he has not seen discount received in the accounts before, and therefore he was not sure what to do with it. So when he made the payment, he recorded bank credit £73 and suspense account debit £73. That's why we have a debit balance appearing in the suspense account over here. What he should have done was payables debit by £80, discount received credit by £7, 80 minus 73, and bank account credit by 73. Well, he has recorded bank correctly. Which note was that? That was note number G. So what he should have done was payables debit by £80, discount received £7, and he has recorded bank as credit because it is mentioned in the note, but so that means we are not going to disturb the bank. We'll leave the bank or cash account as it is, and that bank or cash account will be replaced by suspense account £73. So this is a double entry. Payables debit means reduce of liability is reducing. Discount received is an income which is increasing, and suspense account will be debit. So let's record this double entry into the accounts. So let's start from the top. Payables will be debit, so let's remove £80 from the payables balance. Further, £80 will be subtracted, and if we subtract £80 as well, then this balance will become 440. Next, we need to record the discount received as an income, so that needs to be recorded just below the gross profit. So add discount received. So that will be added into the gross profit, and let's record the remaining balance, £73, in the suspense account. Now we have dealt with all the figures. Now let's close the accounts. So in the workings, let's close the suspense account first. So when we close the suspense account, there should not be any closing balance. So the total is 253 on the debit side, and the credit side is also 253. So that means we have rectified all the errors, and the suspense account has now disappeared. There is no balance. There should not be any balance in the suspense account. Working number 2. So we have done that. So let's close the revenue income statement. So opening inventory 510 plus purchases less closing inventory, and the total is 9610. That is cost of sales. If we subtract the cost of sales from the revenue, we will have 5,932 as our gross profit. We already have administration salaries over here. Let's add the administration expenses, and that is 1, 2, 4, 8. Next is 552 plus 435. That gives us 987. Now, if we add all these three expenses, then the total will be 3869. Let's subtract it from the gross profit. So gross profit is 5932 plus 7. Take away 3869. That gives me 2070. This is profit before tax. There is no finance cost in this question. Let's subtract the expenses out of it. Oh, sorry, tax out of it. And the net profit is 1666. Remember that this net profit will become part of the retained earnings, which is plus 1666. So if I solve for retained earnings, if I take the total retained earnings, it's 1377 minus 1200 plus 1666, and that is 1843. The total payables 440 plus 404, that gives us 844. There are no non-current liabilities. So if I add capital plus retained earnings plus current liabilities, the total will be 3687. Now let's go up. The motor vehicle balance is, well, let's add the accumulated depreciation 870. That needs to be subtracted. Motor vehicle balance, I did not write the balance, let me write that, which is 830. Oh, fixture and fittings, sorry, that's not vehicle, it's fixture fittings, 830. Now the accumulated depreciation is 166 plus 166, 332. If I add all the non-current assets and subtract the accumulated depreciations, the total is 1368. If I add all the current assets, 852 minus 37 plus 767 plus 647 plus 90, that gives me 2319. And if I add non-current and the current assets, the total is 3687. So this total is equals to this total. So everything is correct, the balance sheet is matching, and that's your final answer. I hope you'll find this video useful. Thank you.